Hey, Coach, I was just wondering what you thought about the performance of the offensive line, especially considering you didn't have Joseph Azudu on Saturday. Performance of the blocking and the protection of Sam in the run game as well.
We went into the game with 7 guys. We played those 7. We're really happy overall with their performance in the game, and probably the thing that impressed me the most was their ability to maintain or improve their level of play as the game went on. So we had a couple MAs that cut short some drives in the first quarter. We got off to a good start on the first drive. The O-line did a really good job on a number of those plays to get us down there, helped us overcome a 4th and 7. We had 2 drives in the first half that probably got stalled by MAs, but they kind of settled down at halftime and they answered the call in the second half. And I thought we were really, really consistent, Ross, and there was some really good continuity between the 6 and 7 guys that played up front. And overall, it was a much better opening day for the O-line than it was last year.
If there's one thing to work on with that group this week, what's the focus?
I think Stacy would say the same thing. Every week you want to just improve your footwork and you want to continue to get more physical. I think the one thing I'm most proud about is the effort that we got in the third and fourth quarter from those guys, and the fact that it is now evident that our offensive line, along with our skills and the rest of the guys on the offensive side and our team in general, really performed in a way that showed that our training in the spring, which a lot of that went on while we weren't with them, right? And it was a lot about their character and their commitment while we were away from them. And their training in the summer, you saw that in the game, because we didn't deal with fatigue issues, and we didn't have a lot of cramping, and we didn't have all of the things that you would fear would come with not being in shape or physically being ready for the game. And that's also, and I've told you, I think we have one of the best training staffs in the country with Coach Hess and his guys, and I think they're a big part of how we performed on Saturday.
All right, thank you.
All right, Brian Keys, you're up next. Brian, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. I just wanted to ask about the team has talked about having the running backs catch passes in the backfield into the summer, and then you did that a fair bit against Syracuse. What did you see that you liked in that game?
It's part of an emphasis. I think the running backs have always been a big part of the pass game in this offense. That probably didn't happen as much as I would like it to have happened last year, and so we emphasized that in summer camp. To do that, though, Brian, you've got to have running backs that can catch the football regularly. And our guys can catch the swings, they can catch the wheels, they can catch verticals, they can catch the check downs underneath. So we have the full gamut at our disposal right now from a play calling standpoint, because Coach Gillespie's room, led by Michael Carter and Javonte Williams, are doing a really, really good job being receivers in the offense. And a lot of that, as you well know, is just an extended run game. When we throw a swing out to the perimeter, that's, I see that as much of a perimeter run as anything else. It's just another way to get some of these athletes to football in open space, and they do a good job on the other end of the throws, and so we're going to utilize that stuff a little bit more this year.
Thank you.
All right, next question comes from Gregory Hall. Gregory, go ahead.
Hey, Phil. I was just wondering what your scouting report was on Charlotte heading into Saturday.
On Charlotte, we're going to see some pressure. They're a quarters team. We'll probably see a little bit more forward down than we did last week. They've got 2 transfer defensive ends that I think are going to help them up front, one from Vandy and one from Illinois State, if I remember correctly. They have 2 safeties that do a nice job. They're a good pursuit team. I think they move enough up front. It'll be different challenges up front than we had this week, but we'll need to be able to handle the twists and the movements and the folds inside that we see against the run game and against pass protection. So it's really, and this is no disrespect to Charlotte or anybody else we play, but you've heard me say this. This is more about us just getting better at what we do. We're going to do what we do every week, and you try to apply a little bit of what we're going to get what we're going to see from an attack standpoint defensively. Just try to apply the answers and perform a little bit sharper maybe than we did the previous week.
And then I know Jace didn't have very many snaps in the game on Saturday, but Mac has talked about trying to get those backup quarterbacks to progress more and more. Where is he as far as being able to step in when needed for Sam?
Well, I think right now we're happy that we got Jace back out on the field. We're also happy that we got, even though it was just end of the game snaps, we got Jacoby Criswell out there to take a couple snaps. And, throughout the season, I think depending on the situation, you could see either one of those guys as the season progresses.
Thank you.
All right, next question from Brendan Marks. Brendan, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Thanks so much for taking the time. I was just wondering, Mac mentioned a little bit about how, in game not being able to hit those deep balls, it was an adjustment for Sam. I'm just wondering, what was that process like of sort of working through that adjustment with him? And what does it say about his maturation, how well he handled it later on in the game?
That whole atmosphere that developed in the game on Saturday, and this is a coach speaking, trying to find the best possible lesson to learn from an adverse situation in a ball game. But throwing the deep ball and hitting the explosive throws down the field last year was something we excelled at. We did a good job of executing that stuff. So much so that I think that's just the weekly expectation, probably not just from the fans, but media and the staff and especially our players. And so this was a game that obviously Syracuse earned scores. They weren't going to give up the big play. They drop and rally to everything underneath, force us to throw the football underneath, force us to run the football, force us to throw the screen game. And when you do that, you put together 8, 10, 12 play drives. You're not going to score in 3 and 4, which happened so often last year. And I personally think we're going to see a lot more of that this year, because teams are going to want us to have to earn it. And, you push us to a 10 or a 12 play drive and you're hoping that we make a mistake or that we turn the ball over or that we commit a penalty. The more plays we have, the more opportunities there are for something to happen in favor of the defense. And so I think it's a strategy we're going to see more of. I think it's a situation that we learned from Saturday. We know that we're going to have to be patient at times and take our shots when they're provided.
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right, let's go over to Dina King. Dina, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Dina King, Tar Heel Illustrated. Coach Brown said Garrett Walton had an outstanding total game. I just wanted your thoughts on Walton.
So Garrett had a great camp along with his game. I mean, he's moving better. He's got probably one of the top 2 hands on the team among all of our skill players. He's doing a better job in the box, which is probably the area that we asked him to focus on the most. And for a guy like Garrett who didn't get spring ball, I mean, that's an opportunity. Those are valuable reps to get stronger in the weight room with Coach Hess and his staff and improve your physicality with the things that we do in the box in the run game. We knew what he can do from a skill standpoint, but now that he is even more diverse and I think in even better shape than he was last year, he'll be a more prevalent part of the game plan on a weekly basis. And I think we're going to keep him out on the field as much as we can. And then also Kamari Morales did a good job as our number 2 tight end going in. And so we feel like we have 2 really solid, stable guys at that position for this season.
Thank you, Coach.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, next up, Greg Barnes. Greg, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Wanted to ask about 2 other players, Awesome Richards and Chaffrey Brown. We haven't seen a whole lot of them, so just curious what you like about those guys and what they did to earn the playing time that they got on Saturday.
So I smile with those 2 because they're younger guys that Awesome is somebody we really have to depend on. He's very, very athletic. He's the kind of tackle you want to recruit and you want to have in the program. You wish they all looked like he did. Aside from just his physical stature, he's really, really talented. He uses his hands and his feet well. He's an intelligent offensive lineman. He's done a good job of learning the system in a short period of time, and he answered the call in his first game with, as a true starter. And I think Awesome is only going to, because of his work ethic and the way Coach Searles is developing him, I think he's only going to get better as the year goes on. And we probably have a really, really good left tackle for a number of years to come. So I'm happy about him. Joffrey Brown, obviously Diami's brother. We started the Brown brothers to get the game going with the questionable status of Bo Corrales last week. He was able to come back and do some things, but Joffrey impressed us with some really tough contested catches. He did a good job in his route running. I think there's areas of the game that showed up because of his inexperience and the fact that he hasn't started or played out there yet, but did a really good job in camp. One of our more improved receivers, younger receivers from last year, and you're going to see a lot more of Joffrey as well this season.
Thanks, Coach.
Yes.
All right, CL Brown, you are up next.
All right, Coach, I was just wondering if you could I asked Mac the same question about how you guys go about making adjustments. And I was wondering from your perspective, how do you handle making it right there on the fly on the sideline between a position or possession and as opposed to going into halftime where you can kind of elaborate more on what you're looking at?
So I would say offensively, it's a little different in-game adjustments as opposed to halftime adjustments. In-game adjustments, each position coach are making adjustments with regards to, what a tight end may have to do on this particular play in this scenario next series. Coach Searles is making adjustments with regards to things that they're doing up front, either to attack protection or defend the run game. Coach Galloway's working on route technique and some things to do in the passing game. And obviously I'm doing the same thing with the QBs, and Coach Gillespie's doing the same thing with the running backs. And we share that feedback after we share it with the players. The adjustments that we make at halftime all start, one, from Coach Brown. He will grab the entire staff. He's going to give us a general overview of what he thinks in terms of the theme and of the game and how things are going, what he wants us to address with the guys, both offensively and defensively. And then we get together as a staff. And I think the staffs and the teams that do the best job making halftime adjustments are the ones that are all in sync. We all understand the offense. We all know exactly what it is we want from these plays. We make some adjustments with regards to what the defense is doing to stop our attack. And there aren't a lot of changes that are made, but they're pretty definitive. And I think you get feedback from each coach. You put a quick plan together because there's not a lot of time at halftime. We share a few points with the players, and we go out and make those changes and try to make what you ran in the first half a little bit more effective. And really the credit goes to our players. They just did a better job of executing the plan in the second half.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, Coach, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. You guys have a great afternoon.